Good morning, TK. I'm so happy to welcome you on my channel this
Good
morning.
morning. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So excited to actually talk to somebody in the same time zone, instead of having
Right?
to, yeah, yeah,
This is
wake up
so
so
better.
early. Yeah, right. This is so much better. This is just infinitely better.
So everyone out there who wants to interview us in the future, just remember that we live in Japan and
Yeah.
we don't really want to come be interviewed at 5 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I did that a few weeks ago with the Beardsman of the Book Apocalypse. That was fun, but no more.
Right? I
So
know it's the worst.
But I'm so excited to welcome you here today because you are without a doubt my favorite podcaster. And actually, you know what? Let's not even say podcaster because I'm following you more from your Instagram. So let's say content creator. And
Oh,
and the
thank you.
reason for this, no, well, you do the work. I just consume it. So
Thank you for
the
consuming it because if you didn't, I wouldn't have work.
exactly, I know the feeling. And so the reason why I really love your content, your podcast for the love of history is because, like many other great content creator, you produce like this incredible source of knowledge. You know, your obviously your content is super interesting, but also your personality matches it. Your it's like I have yet to listen to one of your episodes or watch one of your videos without, smiling by the end and from the beginning, usually. And that's not always the case with education related content. So,
Yeah.
but for those who don't know you, can you tell us a bit more about yourself, who you are, about your content, and what got you there to creating content like this?
Yeah, this is so weird because usually I'm you, and I don't really usually do interviews about myself. So this is really cool, but also a little bit out of my comfort zone. But let me just tell you how I got started with content creation in the first place because I forgot part of your other question. We'll go back to it later. Anyways, so I started content creation in 2020. So in what I call the pandemic podcast boom,
Mm,
there were so many podcasts that were started in 2020 because people were at home, people were not able to do anything, and I was the same. At the time, I was a high school English teacher, and the regulations for my school in particular were no conversation in class. So the students couldn't, yeah, they couldn't
it's
speak to one
tough.
another in
Yeah.
English class. So there was no reason for me to be in the classes if they were
Mm,
just doing, you know, textbook grammar. There was no need for me, so I was often just relegated to the teacher's office, at my desk, editing essays, doing homework corrections, and that would go by so quickly. So I just had so much time on my hands, and I really missed my degrees in history, history education, and I missed being a history teacher in the
mm.
States. When I lived there, I was a seventh grade world history teacher, and I taught a bunch of little prepubescent seventh graders about the Mongolian Empire and things like that. And it was so fun, and I really enjoyed it. And also, my friends were like, TK, you gotta, we're done. We've heard enough. Um, so I decided to take my little iPad mini, that was
Mm.
already old at the time, and I decided to record an episode on my little iPad mini, and it was on the Aztec turkey god. And I used royalty free music, and I don't even know what I was thinking, but I would push play on my laptop for the royalty free music and then record it on my phone because I don't I had let me tell you, I literally started from zero. I had no
Yeah.
idea how to make content. I had no idea how to make a podcast. So I was like, how are these people getting music? So I just recorded it on my phone and then put it on the same voice note that I was doing the episode on. So that's how
Mm.
I recorded like my first two episodes. But then thankfully some people believed in me, and my mom was like, we gotta get you a microphone. So she got me like a second, this very
Wow,
microphone right
still there.
here,
Yep.
still here, my Blue Yeti. She got that for me. I scrounged up enough money to get a laptop and started making a podcast, and decided, okay, how am I going to advertise this? So I started doing Instagram and making
Mhm.
like very silly, stupid dance videos because I hadn't kind of, I hadn't
I
really.
haven't seen those. I didn't see those yet.
If
Yeah.
you scroll back far enough, you will find them, and they are embarrassing, but you have to climb cringe mountain in order
Yeah, yeah.
to reach success peak, I guess. I don't know. So that's how I got started. And I became obsessed, and I loved it, and I'm a yapper. I'm a certified yapper, so I love
Oh,
talking.
I didn't
And
notice.
right,
Right.
oh, it's
This is surprising, shocking. I don't
so
believe you.
shy. Yeah, right. So yeah, that happened. I did that 5 years ago, this year in April. On April 1st, I launched the podcast
Mm.
because I thought, hey, if it is really terrible, I can just say, hey, April Fools, guys, this is a joke. It's a funny joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
deep
that's
one.
so I had, you know, what is that word? Um plans, I guess, contingency plans. I had
Mhm.
contingency plan on contingency plan. I go by the name TK. I launch it on April 1st, so I could say it's a joke. That's not me. Who's TK? I don't know. Um,
It's like, oh
but
wait, but you
then
loved it? Well, actually,
actually,
I have
no, that
more.
is me, right? Yeah. So yeah, 2 years ago, I got signed to a network. And yeah, 2 years ago, I started like
Mhm.
really taking things seriously, trying really hard at content creation, burning myself out a couple times.
Yeah.
And I got signed to a network. I basically begged, and I asked another one of my podcast friends to be like, please give me a
Introduce me.
recommendation, introduce me. And then they were like, okay, yeah, fine, like come in. She's emailed us so many times. We have to let her in now. So yeah, I joined a network. Last
Mm.
year was my full first year of being a part of a network, and now is year number 2. We're in year number 2 right now, and I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. Now, even I forgot the question, you know. No, I think you answered the question. And can you tell us about the kind of content you create? Because we've been talking about, yeah, so your podcast is for the love of history. What do
Yes.
you tell? What do you teach people in there?
Well, the tagline is world history, women's history, and weird
Hmm.
history. So I like to call myself a history communicator. So I have a degree in history. I'm certified in teaching history. Sometimes I call myself a historian because I have written some historical articles and things
Right?
like that, done my own research. But I prefer the term history communicator because I synthesize really like weird, big, complex topics into
Mm.
digestible. You can finish the episode, on your morning commute or while you're doing your daily chores between, 25 to 35 minutes of just learning it about cool stuff in a digestible way. I always say that you never have to come into the episode knowing anything about the topic,
Yep.
but you'll leave the episode knowing a ton about the topic. So I cover things like Japanese yokai every
Mm.
August because August is spooky season in Japan. Every August, I do some yokai episodes. We talk about the history of the fork. We talk about
Mm.
some Empress baddies, is what classification of one of my podcast series is we talk about the super weird topics, like there's this god of sweat and other bodily fluids
Yeah.
in ancient Egypt. We talk about him, we laugh, we cry. I always say that I'm the internet's most sensitive most sensitive
Historian.
history communicator. Yeah, historian. So sometimes we cry, we laugh most of the time. And we talk about a lot of different topics. So I make audio podcast episodes, I make video podcast episodes, and then I also make some YouTube only episodes recently. So I've been doing like the mini museum series where I craft. You can see them right here if you're watching the video version. I have made different tiny artifacts and I talk about the artifacts. I've also done some traveling vlogs, just a variety of content on YouTube. And then on Instagram, it's all over the place. We talk about history. It is.
a big emphasis on the weird part of history on your Instagram platform. You get stuff from like fashion in such and such time period, which includes nipple rings in 19th century
nipple
France.
rings. Yep.
Yeah, right. This one was a big one, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, you talk about like a really detailed topics in many different cultures, which is truly fascinating. You never know what you'll get on the For the Love of History. You know, you're like, oh, people might have discovered you because you talk about tea, the culture of tea in some time. Then next video is going to be about the weirdest yokai of Japan, and then the next video is going to be women history owes an apology for. I love this segment. I love this segment so much. Every time you do one of those, it makes me really happy.
Thanks.
So, yeah, thank you very much for telling us more about you. Now, we started chatting, I think maybe 6 months ago. I forgot. I think that was late 2024.
Late 2024.
And because we were both interviewed by Gabriel Garcia, who also has a podcast about history, historical fiction, and so on. And he just interviewed me, and at the end, he was like, "Oh, a few days ago, I talked to TK from For the Love of History, and I had just found your channel like literally a week before."
Oh my gosh!
So that was crazy. And,
that is crazy.
And then he told me you live in Japan and you write about Japanese history. So we'll talk about this in a little bit. But when I first contacted you, your Instagram channel had, I forgot, maybe 50,000-60,000 followers.
Yeah.
Might have been a bit more than this. Sorry if I forgot. But
it's fine.
Now you have twice more. So now you sit on 130,000. So in less than 6 months, you doubled. This is crazy. This is a meteoric rise. What's your secret, TK? How do you do this? Please tell people like me who want to reach that level.
So, thank you for saying that. The imposter syndrome goblins always come and they're like, "You're not enough. This is not good enough." So I really appreciate that perspective. You're right. This is pretty cool. If somebody else did that, I would be like, "Yes, amazing. You're fantastic." But because I did it, I'm like, you're chump change. Like,
lucky.
So exactly. So when it comes to content creation, it's really the first 3 seconds of your video are the most important. The average, I am not a math person, but when it comes to statistics and analytics, I love statistics and analytics. So basically, the average watch time on any social media platform is 45 seconds. 45 seconds for anything. And the first 3 seconds determines whether or not the person is going to view that video at all. And in the Instagram algorithm, if you catch more people, the more people you catch in that first 3 seconds, the more people that video is going to be shown to. So
Mm.
having a catchy hook is the most important thing. And sometimes what I think is a catchy hook ends up flopping. And then
Mm.
sometimes what I'm like, whatever, this is like, I'm just going to like put my camera like this and just, talk to people. It gets a lot of views. So in that way, the algorithm is a fickle creature. But usually very weird things like Victorian nipple rings,
Yeah.
um, or samurai using ancient like tums, basically. That reel
That
went
catches
off. It
the
was
attention. Yeah.
exactly. And the Tanuki one talking about Swiss Army balls, like it's crazy. And controversial things. So
Mm.
if people have a strong opinion about something, whether it's negative or positive, you're going to get more traction. So having a hook is really important. Having a series is really important.
Mm.
And having changing visuals is also pretty important too. So like talking head videos don't normally do as well as like having some transitions, having some
Yeah.
text on the screen, things like that. So, you'll see a lot of people, especially in the history community, doing videos of like they're just like looking like this in the camera, and then they have like text on the thing, which is great. They have found their niche. I love that for them. But if I have any recommendations, don't do that, because that
Mm.
is not gonna it's not gonna be a niche that you're gonna be able to get into, because the creators who have created that type of content have already kind of really cornered the market. So
Mm.
find something that works for you. Find a series or a flow of a video that works for you. Like I do the history hotline where somebody calls in with a history question. I do Shenna, who just like bursts in the door and tells
Yeah.
you some history facts, right? And then I also
Yeah.
have the Women History Owes an Apology To, and I have the series Girly Pops of Yesteryear, where I talk
Mm.
about, typically masculine things, but I give them a girly pop spin because that's what they are. You cannot tell
Yeah.
me a samurai working in the garden is not cottagecore, okay? So
She's talking about Musashi Miyamoto, for those who didn't see that video,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes. Musashi Miyamoto, he's the greatest swordsman in Japan, but also he loved
he's a
flowers,
gardener.
okay?
Yes,
Yeah. And that's also
sure.
equally as important. So that's my advice to people is find
Yeah.
something that works for you, find a series type that works for you and go with it. And
Mm.
also don't be afraid to like try something new. If it's not working, try something new.
Yeah, all right. So find your voice, your niche, get
Mhm.
3 seconds hooks at the beginning, and
Yeah.
then don't keep the video statics or whatever. So
Yep.
just like you do, you might talk to yourself in your own videos a lot. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. I do. I talk to myself.
How silly do you feel when you record those videos? Because I
Ridiculous.
feel ridiculous. Yeah, okay, we agree. I've made
Yeah.
I've made a bunch of videos in a previous channel I had about French education, about
Hmm.
French literature and everything. So those videos were in
Cool.
French, and I ended up talking to myself a lot and making videos where you have two versions of me at the same time, and recording them is like the most ridiculous experience ever, but then it turns into very funny videos. So
Yeah.
my tiny advice is don't worry about feeling silly as you
Yes.
prepare your videos. Yeah.
Yes. Climb that cringe mountain. You're cringe, but you are free. So
Yeah.
be cringe, be free. That's what I say.
So some people will love it, some will not, but focus on people who love it. It's much more
Exactly.
interesting. So,
Exactly.
and do you feel like there was a tipping point in your content creation in terms of suddenly how many people started following you, or was it more of a regular increase?
That's a great question. So there are a few notable moments in my content creation career. So the first time I ever went like viral.
Mm.
There was it was a video, of just me, and I was making a funny face, and there was text on the screen, and it resonated with people. And so I think that got me up to my first 10,000 followers. That really got me out of like 300 views jail. And then as I found my voice with the Sharon character, especially not Sharon, the Shenna
I
character,
mean,
the one who like bursts in and is like,
yeah.
ah, facts. I
Ring
really
nipples.
saw exactly nipple rings.
Nipple ring, sorry.
No, it's fine. um, so once I created that character, I saw a steady increase of
Mm.
people. But Instagram is weird in that I'll grow, 8,000 followers overnight in like, literally a
Yeah.
few days. And then for 3 months, I won't have a single, it'll be stagnant. I'll lose the same amount that I gain.
Mm.
And then you'll hit another thing and then that'll go off. So there's been 3 major times. The one that I talked about first, one that I did, it was about what feminine clothing, like real men should wear, whatever. And then I was like, from what time period? And I'm playing 2 characters in this video, and the bro character has a very stupid like 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 curly villain mustache that I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
drew
yeah.
on
Like
with
a
eyeliner.
pencil curly mustache. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that blew up, and then the right now I'm having a blow up with the Victorian nipple rings and the tanuki.
The Tanuki
Tan-
works very well. Yeah.
exactly.
I was
So
not jealous at all because I made the same kind of
so
video right
sorry.
before.
I'm so sorry.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. But no, I understand. Like, I mean, so you have to find this series, this niche that or character or
Mhm.
that you can recycle and reuse and people like. Yeah, right. And
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
when my previous channel, when it went slightly viral,
Mhm.
first I had no idea why. I didn't change anything. It's just at some point the algorithm is on your side. And I remember
Yeah,
like actually going on a trip and making a short video of this trip. And I wanted to do so many cool things about this video. But while I was shooting this video, I could see the count of followers like plus 500 every day, plus 300. I was like,
that's
wow, I
awesome.
shouldn't bother so much then. And so you never know. And I think for people who don't know me and watching this video, I'm a writer, and the writing game is the same. Also, I heard it's like you can publish 10 books without having great success, and then the book number 11 for some reason will resonate, and
Mm,
it's no longer a steady increase. It's like all of a sudden you go
yeah,
up, and you just need to climb that wave and ride that wave.
totally.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I do think, sorry to interrupt you.
yeah,
I do,
go
if
ahead.
there's any people who are out there who are like content creators or want to be content creators or writers or whatever, that time before the peak is very important. It's
Mm,
very,
yeah.
very important to because you figure out your systems, you figure out what's important to you, you figure out what you want to do, and you perfect what it is that you're doing. You get better at filming, you get better at audio, you get better at
Mm.
creating content. So don't be afraid of that lull time before the peak. It's very, very important. So
Plus,
sorry, I just wanted
it
to
is
say that.
rather, no, you're absolutely right. And it is rather comfy to do
Yeah,
something that no one watches at first. Like
exactly.
it's frustrating, but it feels good. You're like, okay, I can try to be silly. No one is going to watch it. And then
Hmm.
when finally it works, you know what worked, what didn't. You can replicate the process with everything you've learned on the past. So
Yeah.
very true. Now, something very important too when it comes to content creation is how much work is put into this content creation. Because when people watch your videos, for example, and they might assume that okay, she does like 10 minutes of research, 20 minutes of shooting and editing. How long does it take to create one video?
So much
For
time.
like Right.
So much time.
Yeah.
So so basically, I mean, this is the perfect day to do this because yesterday was my batch filming day.
Hmm.
Um so in addition to podcast stuff, I'm also a teacher. I teach online. Because we're not quite at the point where I feel comfortable enough to like let go my day job.
Just, yeah.
No, yeah. So uh basically each video that you see takes at least, I would say, between 3 and 6 hours because there's research involved. Because I
Mm,
am a history communicator, I'm telling people about history. I am so like serious about not spreading misinformation
mm.
because there is so much in misinformation out there, especially with all of these new stupid AI generated videos. Oh, anyway, I could wax
Topic for
poetic on
another
that.
video.
A topic for another video. But I spend a ton of time researching. JSTOR is my best friend.
Mm,
If you don't know about JSTOR, JSTOR is a free online academic resource site where you can read 100 articles a month for free as long as you just
yeah,
sign up. And there are often times when I barely make it through the month. I'm reading all day, every
yeah,
day, taking so much notes all the time. Just if you see over here, this is just notes and to do things and ideas and stuff. Um, so, you know, it takes a long time. And then editing the videos, um, finding pictures and things like that. And that's just for the
oh,
reels. That's
the,
not
the, the
the
yeah,
podcast.
the taking picture, the finding the pictures is it's a rabbit hole. I
It
mean,
is.
sometimes it takes half of the time I dedicate to my videos to just find the pictures for the videos. So yeah,
Exactly.
I share
Exactly.
your struggle here.
Yeah.
Mm,
But it's so fun. At the
mm,
same time, it's a lot of work, but it's so, for me, fulfilling and I love doing it. And it's it's just exciting because my brain loves research and loves
yeah.
knowledge, so being able to share things with people is my favorite thing ever. And there are the occasional like one-off videos where I'm like, hey, I thought about this thing, let me tell you about it, and it takes like 10 minutes.
Or
um
watch me scrapbook something, like
yeah.
what you
Let me
did the other
scrapbook.
day. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly, yeah.
yes, every video is not equal in the amount of time
Exactly.
for the preparation of it, but in
Yeah.
general, yeah. So 5, 6 hours, like I
Mm-hmm.
know in the past when I used to do those videos about literature, yeah, that was
Mm.
easily 10 to 12 hours of research per video, then plus the editing, plus everything. So and
Yeah.
you end up with a 6 minute videos that make people laugh for a few seconds.
Yeah,
But you
right.
have to love the what you're doing. Now,
Mm.
how do you choose the topics of your podcast and videos?
So choosing for the podcast is a little bit different than choosing for the video. So I'll
Mm,
do the videos first. Videos on Instagram are just like whatever I think is interesting. If I think it's cool, then we're
yeah.
going to talk about it. If I'm watching a documentary, and there's something neat that happens, I write it down. I have like a little thing
Mm,
on my phone, a little notes app on my phone that I write down all the ideas. Um, if I'm reading a book and something interesting pops up, I do that. I also, so it's weird. I do the very like whatever I want to talk about. And then I also meticulously plan in my planner. I'll show you.
mm.
I meticulously plan different, if you see like this,
Wow. Yep. Yep.
very meticulously planned. Okay, I can't have two history hotline videos too close together.
Mm,
I also can't
yep.
have too many like Japan videos close together. I can't have too many, of the similar topic close together. Oh, I haven't done a Shenna pop up video in a really long time, so I need to do that here. So the topics are like whatever, but the planning is like way more meticulous. So that's how I do that. And then for the podcast, that's a little bit different. So sometimes I take a look at for example, planning for this season. By the way, season 11 starts on July 4th, just so you know. Shameless plug. So for this season, I looked at what months the season will fall into. So we go from July to October. So I know, okay, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also Halloween month. So I want to talk about a breast cancer topic, and I also want to talk about Halloween. In August, it's my birthday month, so we always do our annual birthday. Oh my gosh, what day?
15.
Oh, 15. I'm 25.
I'm a bit before. Yeah. I knew
it's
it.
Okay. It's still a great birthday, even though you're not 25th. So
and even though you're not a Leo, it's fine. You're
that's
still
true.
lucky.
I'm not a Leo. I'm a Virgo.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I know how we're perceived. So I look at August like, okay, I want to do a birthday episode month, which is like a Q&A, is what I usually do. August is also spooky season in Japan. So we got to do, we're doing a yokai episode.
Yokai,
Yeah. So we do a yokai episode. This season, it's going to be the yokai that inspired the different monsters in several Ghibli movies. Then in July, since it's America's birthday, we have a topic that will make you not very excited to be an American if you are.
That's a general theme this year, I think.
Yeah,
anyway.
Exactly.
Good timing.
Exactly. So so I look at the months and I try to have an equal distribution once again of like Empress Baddie episodes, weird episodes, some serious episodes. And then I find 16 different topics, and then I let the audience choose about 4 or 5 of the topics on my Instagram. And then the other topics are like topics that I really want to talk about. So I choose.
Even if you don't like it,
if you don't like it, suck it up. You're going to love it, actually.
Just nice. Now, I mentioned briefly earlier that when we first talked, you were writing or in the process of writing a book about female samurai, or I forgot the exact topic, but you mentioned Tomoe Gozen, for example. How is it going?
It's going.
That's good.
So I have never written a book before. This is my first time writing a book. And despite interviewing many authors myself, I don't really know how to go about writing or publishing a book. So right now, the book is it's right over here somewhere. No,
it exists. It exists in a physical form already.
In a physical form as a notebook. Okay. Yes. So it's
you got me excited there for a second.
No. I'm so sorry. So I have the first 3 chapters of the book done. Done as in they are out of my brain and onto a piece of paper. So I am very passionate about the Onabugeisha and the Onamusha. Because when you think about samurai history, we get the Date Masamune's, we get the Oda Nobunaga's, we get the Mitsunari Ishida's and things like that. You know, the men of the samurai world. But there were samurai women that were equally as important, but they're treated extremely differently in the academic community. A lot of them are treated in the same way as women Vikings were treated back in like the early 2000s and the 1900s. So I have an episode on this as well. But if you're not familiar, many of the what is colloquially known as Vikings. Many of the Viking burial grounds in Iceland,
Mm,
and the Norway, I think it is, they were mismarked as men. The burials were mismarked
yeah.
as men because they found weapons inside the burial grounds. But after DNA testing was done, we found out that, um, in fact, the skeletons, the remains were of women. And so we don't know how they
Mm,
identified, but we do know that they were women. And then it got changed to like, okay, well then it's ceremonial only. The weapons are just for ceremony. That's not like, it's not like a real thing. And so the idea that women in the Viking world were actual fighters is like hotly contested.
mm,
And the idea of Valkyries being not real but mythological, but other characters in Norse mythology
would have
actually
been
being
real. Yeah.
exactly being
Yeah.
based on real things. That's what was happening and still kind of
Mm,
continues to happen today. But that is what is happening in Japan right now. So, for example, Tomoe Gozen, she is in the Heiki Monogatari, I think is what it
yeah.
is. Yes, yeah, the Heiki Monogatari, and her passage is one of the most studied passages in like Japanese literature classes in university, because her passage maybe was mistranslated in some ways or miswritten down. We're not quite sure. But at the end, it kind of leaves in a big question on whether or not she was really, as important of a figure as
Mm,
she's portrayed as at the beginning of her story in the Heiki Monogatari. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, she was a a myth. She was a not a real person." But the justification for her not being a real person is in direct contrast to the justification of these other people actually being people.
yeah.
So it's very convoluted, and that is something that I'm trying to research and I'm trying to bring to light, because the only other book that is dedicated specifically to samurai women is filled with historical inaccuracies. And I don't
Mm.
even want to say the name of the book because I don't want people to go read it and get bad ideas.
Yeah, and this is something that I found happens quite often is like when you bring up a female character, a
Mm-hmm.
female samurai, either Bugeisha
Mm.
or the Musha,
Yeah,
or
Musha.
Musha,
Mm-hmm.
so in the Musha as well. It's like you have a part of the people you will talk to that will tell you, yeah, they were real, and the other one will like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they might have existed, but we exaggerated their goals or their
Mm-hmm.
impact and all of
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So I don't know enough about Tomoe Gozen to discuss exactly this, but I'm the same with female characters from the Sengoku Jidai, so came
Mm-hmm.
later, and
Yeah.
some female samurai were incredibly important on the battlefield as well as on the administration side or
Yeah.
of their province. Like Ikeda Sen is a
Mm-hmm.
character I find fascinating. There is this one, I think there was a Ii Naotora,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been identified as a female samurai for decades, maybe also because of a mistake in translation. And now people are trying to bring up the fact that she was actually probably a man. And I'm like, no, leave her be.
Leave her
That was
alone.
leave her alone. That was so interesting to have this character as a female
Right?
character as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I look forward to reading what you have
Thank
to say
you.
about all these characters, those fascinating Japanese female samurai, and so on. So I wanted to talk to you briefly about your experience in Japan. I'm not sure we have enough time today, so uh, we can keep it brief if you want to, but
Yeah, we'll keep
otherwise,
it brief. Yeah, totally
I would love
fine.
to welcome you back at some point. So,
Yeah.
because what we have in common, obviously, is that we are both foreigners in Japan.
Yeah.
Um, Now you live in a very different part of the country.
Yeah.
I live in Tokyo and you're not. So
Nope.
uh, our our experience will be very different. But when you came to Japan, did you know what you were getting into? Did you travel before that in Japan? Was it a complete surprise?
Complete surprise. I studied Japanese history in university, and that's what my specialty is in.
Mm,
But I had no idea. I thought
yeah,
everywhere was like Tokyo. Of course, there's going to be some like places that are out in the middle of nowhere, some like countryside places, but I did
yeah.
not realize that that was like
That's the norm.
85% of
Yeah,
Japan. Like that's like the norm.
yeah. So most
So
of
I was
Japan is countryside. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. If you're outside of Osaka, Kyoto, and Tokyo, good luck. Like
Yeah.
Nagoya, okay. Okayama, like, all right. Hiroshima, sure. But other than that, like you're there, there's nothing.
Mm,
So, yeah, I landed first in Tokyo and I was like, woo, amazing, so cool. Not a clue. Just a dumb, what? I was like
Gaijin.
22, I think, or something
Yeah.
like that. Or I had just turned 22, or I was about to turn 22. I cannot remember. Anyways, um, whatever 9 years ago is.
Good. Now we know.
Yeah, right. So, I landed, spent 2 days in Tokyo, had an orientation,
Mm,
then went to Matsuyama in
mm,
Ehime in Shikoku. And don't feel bad that you don't know where that is. The customs agents also don't know where that is. When I go to
mm.
and from America and I come back and I'm like, hey, I'm going to Matsuyama. And they're like, huh? Going to
So
Ehime.
for
What?
people to understand where you landed, Ehime is famous for tangerine, right? So is that right? Yeah. So
Very
that's
famous for tangerines.
yeah, they are awesome. They are so good, but that's not Tokyo. Like,
Not Tokyo. It's not Tokyo.
yeah.
It's like imagining you're going to New York and then like being put in Gary, Indiana. Like that's what it is. Like that's what's happening. And as a girl from Kansas, I was born in teeny tiny little town in Kansas. Like
Mm.
this is countryside.
Yeah, even for you, this is countryside, right? Yeah,
Even for me,
got
this
it.
is countryside. So, but I love it. I love
Mm,
it. It's amazing. I love living here. There's obviously some hardships. Using fax machines for everything, not my favorite. I know. I know.
uh, all
Um,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what a fax machine is, just Google it. If there's
Mm,
listeners who
I
are young
know,
who
right?
do not know what a
I
fax machine is,
I when I landed to Japan, I didn't even know some people still used fax machine, but this
yeah.
is still very much in use here nowadays in
Yes.
2020s,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
especially for work-related tasks or whatever it is. It is
Totally.
so weird. That's a very good introduction to my segment. The segment I wanted to start with you is what's crazy about Japan. So, because very often when I talk about Japan, I end up saying, you know what's crazy about Japan? Because people don't realize how crazy this country and
Yeah.
what's crazy about Japan can be positive and negative.
Mhm.
One of the negatives I would say, well, it's not, it doesn't have to be negative, is how not technological Japanese people are in general. Because I grew up thinking Japan was like a country of like technology, and I had those images of Shibuya in my head. But actually,
Yeah.
people use cash, people use fax machines,
Yes.
everything has to be written down on paper.
Yep.
This is not what you would expect. You are not in cyberpunk uh,
No.
when you
This
come
is
to
not
Japan.
Ghost in the Shell. That's not what is happening right
Exactly,
now.
yeah. So, do you have what would be your most what's crazy about Japan moment since you've started living here?
My
Can be good
most
or bad.
yeah, so I have one that's good and then one that's bad. One I'll start with the bad one first. The one that is bad is just the amount of bureaucracy that one has to
Mm,
go through to literally do anything.
yeah.
Yes. To renew my visa, to get my driver's license, to change my house, to get a phone, to open a
Oh,
bank account, to get married. Oh my God.
All right. This one was actually not so bad for me. So,
Oh, thank God.
yeah, but
Horrible for me.
yeah.
Horrible. Because we were the first international couple to get married in our tiny
Ah,
little
okay.
prefecture, our
Yeah.
tiny little city hall in our prefecture. So they were like, could not even deal. It was so funny. So
Let
that
me flip
was,
the question to someone how to do this.
they
Yeah.
brought out I swear to you, a law book that was this thick and just like boom on the table and like open it up and they were like, we don't really know what's going on. Are you allowed to get married? I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure other
Yeah.
Americans have done this before.
This is so nice. But like you brought up the question of the phone, and this is one of the craziest part of arriving in Japan of setting in Japan is like in order to get a phone, you need an address, and in order to get an address, you need a bank in Japan.
Yeah,
In order to get a bank in Japan, you need a phone number. So basically,
exactly.
you are stuck between those three, and no one wants
Yes.
to help you how to get any
Exactly.
of those, right?
Exactly. The just moved to Japan Bermuda Triangle is what
Oh
I
my,
like to call it.
yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But one of the most positive things that I was like, what the heck in Japan is the, like the healthcare. As an American,
Oh, yes, I was gonna say that's yeah. You are American. That's why you say so. Because for me, healthcare is a big negative in Japan. So
really?
yes,
No,
it
for me, I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Thank you so much.
like here is the change.
Yeah.
You pay with shares, right?
I
No, but I understand. I really understand where this is coming from. But on my side, the one thing I hate the most about Japan would be going to a doctor because I
know.
feel like to be treated correctly, you need to go to two or three doctors before one of them finds exactly what's wrong with you. And when
Mm.
it's for me, it's fine, but when it's for one of my kids,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
driving me insane to have to go
Yeah.
to three doctors before they start to check
Yeah.
seriously and do more than just 5 seconds check.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And this might be a difference between Tokyo area and where I
yeah,
am because there's the only people that are in there are like three people over the age of like 85 and just like me in
no,
the clinic. Yeah.
that's the same
So,
here. That's the same
oh
here.
really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like things I think go I don't know. There's less people, I think.
Mm.
So the doctors have the time to talk to you a little bit more. I
There
don't
are
know.
fewer
I'm not
doctors
sure.
too. There are fewer, you don't have as much choice maybe as well. But
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
I don't want to end this here because I mentioned two negatives, but I absolutely love Japan. For people who don't watch my my channel, I love this country so much. This is my favorite place on earth. I will
Yeah.
live here as long as I can. It's been almost
Mm.
10 years. I'm not planning to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
So watch my videos. I promise this is mostly positive. Those are the two big negative ones.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, he's great. He's written a whole book. It's wonderful. I love it.
thank you. Well, thank you very much, TK. That was a pleasure having you on this channel today. I hope we can do this again in the future and talk more, gush more about
Yeah.
Japan in a positive manner
Yeah.
and about your crazy, interesting content.
Oh,
So
thank you
thank
so
you very
much.
much and see you very soon.
Thank you so
Bye,
much for
everyone.
having me. It's been a delight. Bye.